Verily, when I say unto you, there be some standing here which shall not taste death till. And this word till is significant, because it's saying that while some people would die, some of the people and the disciples to whom he was speaking to, while some of them would die, some of them would live till they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. All right. Okay. So we know that in 70 we had the destruction of the temple, and we know that Jesus was speaking before the cross. So sometime in this area, sometime between 27 and 31. Okay. So at this point, Jesus is saying, there be some standing here which shall not taste death till they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. Now, according to Matthew 24, we saw Jesus gave these signs of the end. So after he went to the cross, or was crucified, resurrected, and the Holy Spirit was poured out in the year 31, then the signs that Jesus gave began to be fulfilled. So they had the deception that came. Then we saw there were wars and rumors of wars, because we even have in the book of Acts where Caesar expelled the Jews out of Rome because of the insurrections that were beginning to happen. We saw the upheavals. There were famines. In the book of Acts, we read about where the prophet came and said there was going to be a famine upon the whole world. We saw where Paul and Silas was in prison and a great earthquake occurred. All of these things were prophesied by Jesus as signs that were leading up to the destruction of Jerusalem. Then we saw the persecution that happened. We read in the Acts chapter 7, Acts chapter 8, where Saul of Tarsus led the persecution under the authority of the chief priest of the temple, okay, to persecute the Christians and throw them in prisons and beat them, etc., etc. Okay, then we had the preaching of the gospel, and Paul said, look, the gospel has been preached in all of the world. At that time, in his time, which was the Roman Empire, the Israelites, the gospel of the kingdom had to be preached in the oikumene, which was the Roman Empire. We saw all of that when we read Matthew 24 in the last study. Okay. Then remember Jesus talked about the abomination in the temple now. And when they saw that abomination, they need to flee out of Judea. They need to come down off the rooftops in Judea and in Jerusalem and flee. Right? Because at that time now there would be a great tribulation. All right. And then, at that time, they begin to see signs in the heavens and so on and so on. And then they will see the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And they will see him coming in the clouds of heaven. So at that time, we had the coming of the Son of Man. All right. So now let's see how we can put all of this in context with what Jesus is saying now in Matthew chapter 16:27. There be some standing here who will not die until they see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven. Well, he didn't say clouds of heaven at this point. He says, you see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. All right. But it's all the same reference. But I just want to be exact. Okay. So let's assume, right, that the average age of the people who were standing there was 30 years old. Okay. The average age. Yes, there may be some younger, some older. The average age is 30. So in the year 30, when Jesus, let's say he was saying it in the year 30, that there were people, the average age was 30. So in the year 70, they would also be 70. So it is very likely that a person listening to Jesus in the year 30 would have been alive in the year 70. Yes, some of them may have died because there was a heavy persecution going on among the Jews persecuting the Christians, and many were killed. But then, if they were living the normal life in their natural lifespan, yeah, they would be alive because they would be 70 years old by the time the temple was destroyed. So yes, it was quite possible for someone listening to Christ, standing there, and him saying, look, you will see the Son of Man come in his kingdom, because remember, Jesus said he would come before the temple was destroyed. So it's quite possible that someone listening to Jesus in the year 30, 40 years later when the temple was destroyed in the year 70, it's possible that they would have seen him come.